There's a reason why she stopped listening, why she interrupts, mocks, or pulls away, even when you're doing your best. It's not because you're not good enough. It's because somewhere along the way, you stopped having a spine. And no woman, no matter how much she loves you, can respect a man without one. If she's testing you, pushing you, pulling back just to watch you react, she's not looking for drama. She's looking for your limits. And if you don't have any, she'll lose interest fast. In this video, I'll give you 5 boundaries that not only protect your worth, but make her see you with new eyes. But before we dive in, I want you to do one thing. Make a decision. Because watching this video won't change your life unless you decide, right here, right now, that your respect matters more than her comfort. Subscribe if you're done being overlooked. And in the comments, write, "I choose respect over comfort." That's not just a sentence. It's your first step into a new chapter. One where you stop explaining yourself and start building standards no one dares to cross. Let's begin. Number 1, never reward disrespect. Let me tell you something most men don't want to hear, but absolutely need to. She didn't stop respecting you because you weren't good enough. She stopped because you started tolerating what should have never been allowed once. You didn't lose her love. You lost her respect. And once that's gone, so are you. Here's the bitter truth. Women don't lose interest when a man shows his flaws. They lose interest the moment they realize those flaws come with no standards. When you start tolerating the little digs, the sarcastic jabs, the cold shoulders she throws just to test your temperature, you teach her one thing. My boundaries are optional. She won't say it out loud, but she starts adjusting how she looks at you. No more admiration, no more craving your presence. You go from the man she once looked up to the man she tolerates out of convenience. I've worked with hundreds of men who say, "But I love her. I don't want to fight. I just want peace." Here's the twist. The moment you start prioritizing peace over principle, she starts creating the chaos. Not because she's toxic, but because she's wired to detect weakness in the man leading the relationship. And if you bend every time she pushes, she no longer feels safe. She feels in control. And that kills the polarity. You see, it's not about being perfect. It's about being clear. Clear about what you allow. Clear about what you walk away from. And most importantly, clear that her affection doesn't override your self-respect. So what does disrespect look like in real life? It's not always loud. Sometimes it's subtle. It's when she interrupts you every time you speak. It's when she throws passive-aggressive shots and plays it off as just a joke. It's when she keeps texting her male friends, but calls you insecure for bringing it up. It's when she ghosts you for hours and expects you to still show up like nothing happened. And what do most men do? They explain, they apologize, they try harder, and that's the fatal mistake. Because every time you respond to disrespect with more love, more attention, more forgiveness, you're not being kind, you're being complicit. You're training her to believe that your boundaries are negotiable and your self-worth is for sale. Now, I'm not telling you to raise your voice or punish her. I'm telling you to respond with action, not argument. You say it once, calmly, firmly. Don't talk to me like that again. And if she does it again, you're gone. Not to teach her a lesson, but to teach yourself your limit. No drama, no games, just clarity. And here's the wild part. When you do this, one of 2 things happens. She either levels up to meet you or she walks. And if she walks, let her. That's not a loss. That's a filter. Because a woman who truly respects you doesn't test your limits just to break them. She tests them to see if they exist at all. The man who commands respect isn't loud. He doesn't repeat himself. He doesn't argue to be understood. He acts to be remembered. From now on, the rule is simple. Never reward disrespect. Not once, not subtly, not emotionally. You reward loyalty. You reward consistency. But the moment disrespect shows up at your door, you don't invite it in. You leave the table. every time, without flinching. That's not ego. That's self-preservation. Because the man who protects his dignity protects everything else in his life, his peace, his mission, and his future. And when a woman sees that, she doesn't walk all over you. She walks with you, or not at all. Number 2, guard your peace. If there's one thing you can't afford to give away cheaply in this life, it's your peace. Not your time, not your money, not even your love. Your peace. Because here's the brutal truth. A man without peace is a man who's easy to manipulate. He reacts to everything. He jumps at every call. He answers every text like it's a fire alarm. And women can feel it, not with logic, with instinct. You think being constantly available proves your love? She reads it as desperation. You think saying yes to everything makes you a good man? She feels it as weakness. And that's why she loses respect, not because you're too kind, but because you're too accessible. Let me break it down even deeper. Women don't fall for chaos, they fall for certainty. And there's nothing certain about a man who's emotionally scattered. Every time you let drama into your space, whether it's hers, a friend's, or your own internal storms, you send the signal, I'm not grounded. And if you're not grounded, she won't trust you, not fully, not deeply. So what does leaking your peace look like? It looks like checking your phone every time she goes silent. It looks like showing up when she flakes, just to prove you're not mad. It looks like canceling your gym session, your business meeting, or your evening ritual just because she had a rough day. It looks like letting her emotional roller coaster dictate your mood. Let me say this clearly. You are not her therapist. You are not her emotional punching bag. You are the frame, the structure, the ground she tests so she can feel where solid begins. And if you fail that test, if your peace collapses under her pressure, she doesn't feel loved. She feels unsafe. Because if you can't lead yourself, how the hell can you lead anyone else? Here's what guarding your peace actually looks like. It means not answering right away. Not out of pettiness, but out of purpose. It means building a routine so strong that even your own emotions have to knock before entering. It means creating sacred space, time for your body, your mind, your goals, and letting nothing disturb it, not even her. Not because you're cold, but because you're building something worth protecting. You want to know why high-value men move differently? It's not just the money. It's not the looks. It's that they've built a life that doesn't run on anyone's mood but their own. And women? They don't say it, but they crave that kind of man. The one who doesn't need to be told to disconnect. The one who knows when to step back, rebuild, recalibrate, without asking for permission. So ask yourself this. Is your phone controlling your energy? Are you entertaining people who only drain you? Are you allowing chaos because you're afraid of being called selfish? If yes, you're not guarding your peace. You're bleeding it out for free. Here's your new standard. You are not always available. You don't owe access to anyone just because they want it. Your attention is earned, not expected. And if that bothers someone, good. Let them be bothered from a distance, because the man who protects his peace becomes magnetic. He becomes unpredictable. He becomes rare. And that's what makes her lean in, not because she controls you, but because she can't. Peace isn't passive. It's powerful. It's the ability to sit still while the world spins and choose when to move. And when you build that kind of peace, you don't just attract women, you attract respect. You attract clarity. You attract a life where you are no longer reacting. You are choosing. And that, my friend, is the quiet power that separates a man who survives women from a man women never forget. Number 3, don't overshare too early. Let me guess, someone once told you, women love vulnerability. So you opened up. You told her everything, your childhood trauma, your biggest fears, your darkest moments. You thought she'd feel closer to you, but something shifted. She didn't pull you closer, she pulled away. And you sat there wondering, what the hell just happened? Here's the truth no one told you. Vulnerability is powerful, but only when it's controlled, only when it's earned. Because when you overshare too early, you don't create connection. You kill mystery. Women aren't drawn to men who tell all. They're drawn to men who make them want to know more. She doesn't want to carry your emotional weight before she knows if you can carry hers. She doesn't want to be your savior. She wants to feel your depth, not drown in it. Now let's get one thing straight. I'm not saying hide who you are. I'm saying guard it like something sacred. Because your story isn't a brochure, it's a treasure chest. And if you hand it out on day 3 like a discount flyer, don't be surprised when she treats it like one. There's a psychological reason why oversharing backfires. When you expose your inner world too fast, you force intimacy. And forced intimacy doesn't feel safe. It feels heavy. She starts wondering if you're emotionally stable. She starts sensing that you're not grounded. And worst of all, she starts seeing you as predictable. And you know what kills attraction faster than anything? Predictability. If she feels like she's figured you out by week 2, you've already lost half the game. You need to let her discover you. Not dump your life story in her lap and hope she reads it with compassion. So, what do most men do wrong? They talk too much. They share too soon. They try to win her heart by showing their scars, thinking it makes them real. But in her eyes, it often makes you needy. You're trying to bond by bleeding, and that doesn't create love. It creates emotional fatigue. Here's what a magnetic man does instead. He speaks with intention. He reveals in layers. He answers her questions, but not with a flood, with a drop. Just enough to spark curiosity. Just enough to make her lean in. He lets her earn access, slowly. And that pace, that patience, that's what keeps her intrigued long after the first date ends. There's a reason the men who are the most respected, the ones who draw people in without saying much, move the way they do. They don't over-explain. They don't confess for approval. They let their presence speak first, their story second. And here's the real kicker. You don't need to be relatable. You need to be radiant. You don't need her to understand you. You need her to feel drawn to the parts of you she can't quite figure out yet. When she asks about your past, you give her the highlight, not the documentary. When she wants to know your dreams, you give her the direction, not the play-by-play. You keep the tension alive, because tension is the pulse of attraction. This isn't about manipulation. It's about discipline. You're not hiding who you are. You're choosing when and how she gets to see it. You're giving her the chance to earn the deeper parts of you, not just access them. And the moment you start doing that, she stops pulling away. She starts leaning in, not because you dumped your emotions on the table, but because you made her wonder what else lives behind your calm. That's how you keep your edge. That's how you stay unforgettable. Number 4, no emotional reactivity. You want to know the quickest way to lose a woman's respect? Let her control your emotions. Let her words pull you out of your frame. Let her silence make you spiral. Let her games dictate your state. That's how you go from being the man she admired to the boy she manages. And let me be brutally honest with you. Women don't test you to destroy you. They test you to define you. Because deep down, she needs to know, can this man hold the weight of my storms without collapsing? If every sigh she lets out makes you panic, if every shift in her tone turns you into a detective, if every withdrawal of affection sends you chasing like a starving dog, you've already lost the game. Because here's what you still don't get. When she pulls away, when she acts cold, when she throws a random emotional grenade into the room, she's not looking for an explanation. She's looking for your edges. She wants to see, do you wobble, do you break, or do you stand? And most men, they react, they argue, they accuse, they over-explain, they beg. And the second you do that, you've handed her the keys to your emotional state. She might not even realize she's doing it, But trust me, she feels it. And when a woman feels she can emotionally rattle you at will, she stops seeing you as her rock. She starts seeing you as a mirror, one that just reflects her chaos back to her. So what's the shift? You become the container, the stillness, the calm, not because you're pretending not to feel, but because you've mastered how to respond instead of react. Emotional control isn't numbness, it's power. It's having a raging storm inside, but choosing not to make it someone else's problem. Let me give you an example. She suddenly goes quiet mid-conversation. You feel it, that sinking gut feeling, that panic rising. But instead of asking, "What's wrong? Are you okay? Did I do something?" You say nothing. You stay still. You observe. Because if something is wrong, she'll speak. And if it's a test, she'll feel the weight of your unshakable calm like gravity. You don't win these moments with logic. You win them with presence. And presence is silent. It's deliberate. It's what separates men who react from men who rule. Here's the hard truth most men don't want to hear. Your pain is not permission to bleed on others. Your trigger is not her responsibility. Your fear of abandonment, that's your battle, not hers. Because a man who reacts every time his ego is touched isn't dangerous. He's predictable. And predictability, again, kills attraction. So how do you become emotionally sovereign? Step 1. Awareness. Catch the impulse. That microsecond between what she does and what you want to do. That's your kingdom. Step 2. Stillness. Don't speak just to fill the silence. Don't act just to regain control. Wait. Step 3. Discernment. Ask yourself, is this about her behavior or my old wounds? Most of the time, it's not even about her. It's about the little boy in you who wasn't seen. But that boy doesn't lead anymore. You do. This level of emotional control changes everything. Your conversations shift. Your energy shifts. Her tone shifts. Because now, you're the one she can't move. And that makes you the man she has to respect. She'll feel it in your silence. She'll sense it in your stare. She'll recalibrate herself without you saying a word. Because now you've become rare. This is what makes a man unforgettable. Not his words, not his status, but his ability to stay centered. When everything around him is designed to pull him off balance. So next time she tests you, don't flinch, don't chase, don't crack. Just breathe, stand still, and let your silence say what your power never needs to explain. Number 5, always be willing to walk away. Let me say something you might not be ready to hear. Your greatest power in any relationship isn't how much you love her. It's how willing you are to leave her. And no, I don't mean walking away out of ego, out of games, or out of revenge. I mean walking away out of principle. Because the man who cannot walk away is the man who will always be controlled. Most guys stay in relationships long past their expiration date. Not because the love is still there, but because they're afraid. Afraid of being alone. Afraid of starting over. Afraid that no one else will get them the way she does. But here's what I've learned, and what I need you to tattoo onto your soul. The moment you stay in a relationship that disrespects your values, you don't just lose her respect, you lose your reflection. You start shrinking to fit into her moods. You start rationalizing red flags as phases. You start convincing yourself that it's not that bad, and over time, you disappear. Not physically, emotionally, spiritually, energetically. You're there, but you're hollow. And the worst part? She feels it. She knows she's with a man who would rather stay needed than stay true. But when you flip that frame, when you become the man who can love deeply and leave decisively, everything changes. Suddenly, your silence becomes louder than your begging ever was. Your standards become the conversation, not your apologies. And your presence becomes a privilege, not a given. Women don't test men just to break them. They test men to see what kind of foundation they're standing on. And if your foundation is made of fear, she'll sense it. And she'll push. And push. Until one day, you look in the mirror and don't even recognize the man staring back. But if your foundation is made of self-respect, she won't dare cross that line twice. So what does this look like in real life? It looks like saying, I love you, but I love my code more. I want you, but I refuse to want someone who treats me like a backup plan. I care about this, but not at the cost of who I'm becoming. And yes, it's terrifying. Yes, it's lonely. Yes, it's brutal to walk away from someone you once built your future around. But the clarity that comes after, it's pure fire. It burns away every illusion. It exposes every lie you told yourself to keep the relationship alive. And in that space, the silence after the storm, you meet a new version of yourself. One who no longer begs. One who no longer folds. One who no longer trades peace for attention. Because let me be clear, the moment you stay somewhere just to keep the peace, but that place is costing you your soul, you've already lost. Real peace doesn't ask you to betray yourself. And women, they know the difference between a man who's staying because he can't leave, and a man who's choosing to stay, but could leave any time if disrespected. And the second type, she watches her tone around him. She shows up different, because she knows this man doesn't need her. He chooses her. And that difference? That's the difference between being loved and being worshipped. So hear me loud. If you're in a relationship that drains you, walk away. If you're constantly being tested, disrespected, devalued, walk away. If you feel like you've got to shrink to be loved, walk away. Not because you're heartless, but because you finally remembered who the hell you are. Walking away isn't weakness. It's the most powerful thing a man can do, when done for the right reasons. Because when you have the courage to walk away from anything that makes you forget your worth, you become untouchable, unshakable, and absolutely unforgettable. You've just walked through 5 boundaries that don't just demand respect, they command it. But here's what most men still miss. These boundaries aren't about controlling women. They're about controlling yourself so powerfully that a woman either rises to meet your standard or walks away knowing she never deserved to stay. Because in love, it's never about being perfect. It's about being clear. Clear in what you tolerate. Clear in what you protect. Clear in what you walk away from. The man who earns a woman's deepest respect is never the man who gives her everything. It's the man who gives her access, only after she's proven she can handle it. And once you start living this way, something shifts. You stop chasing validation. You stop managing her moods. You stop explaining why you deserve to be respected. Instead, you just are. You become the man who builds silence into strength, discomfort into discipline, and boundaries into a damn kingdom. Let me warn you though, the moment you draw these lines, some people will fall away. Good. Let them. Because boundaries don't push the right people out. They reveal who never belonged in the first place. One day she'll look back at you, the man she once thought she could play with, and she won't recognize who you've become. You won't need to say a word. She'll feel it. She'll feel that the man who was once hers has become someone she's no longer qualified to touch. And that silence, that absence, that dignity, it will haunt her more than your presence ever did. So don't just listen to this message. Live it. Stop tolerating disrespect. Stop negotiating your standards. Stop waiting to hit rock bottom to finally rise. Draw the line. Stand behind it and become the kind of man the world either fears or follows. And if this hit something deep inside you, if it reminded you of the man you were always meant to be, then lock it in. Drop a comment below and write, I choose respect over comfort. Because the man who chooses comfort will always be led. But the man who chooses respect, he becomes undeniable. If this message spoke to you, share it with a brother who needs to wake up. And don't forget to subscribe, Because this channel isn't just here to entertain you. It's here to arm you. Respect isn't a request, it's a code. And from this moment forward, you live by it.